It follows four athletes in particular. There's a lot of appearances by other athletes that you may have heard of, such as bronze medalist Natalie McCarthy, four-time team member Eric McDaniel. They're both highly involved in the filming process as well. And then Stephanie Cox and Blake Haxton makes an appearance. Jacqueline Smith, Ginny Sitchell, all of them help bring together this world of para rowing, and it was such a great experience to be able to be with them and see what it's like to be part of their lives and the training that they go through. And I think that when you see what their lives are like and what they go through in order to compete at such a high level and to represent the United States in the way in which they do, I think you'll be surprised, but you'll also be really proud of the quality of athletes that the United States is sending out to the world. We follow Dan R., who just at the very beginning of filming, his first daughter is born. And so throughout the season, his story becomes how is he able to balance his responsibilities with rowing and with work, along with his responsibilities at home, which has now increased substantially. And so trying to come up with a balance in order to be able to compete at everything. And is he able to still row at the high quality which he did the previous year with all these new demands? And then there's Andrew Johnson, who is a five-time national team rower, and he rowed in the 2012 London Paralympics. And now he's moved to Boston from Oklahoma City. He moved to Boston to train at CRI with the head coach Ellen Minsner, and now he's kind of in a new spot in his life, and he's trying to figure out, how much he wants this. He hasn't medaled in a boat yet out of all the years that he's been there, and he really wants to get that medal. So he's come to a new city and has a new type of, workout environment, trying to push himself to make sure that he makes that boat again this year. And so he goes through quite a lot in the 7 months, especially towards the end, and it puts him to where he has to kind of think about how hard he's willing to push himself in order to make sure that he gets to that top level. And then there's Margaret Strand, who was a huge wheelchair basketball star back in the day. She went to two Paralympics playing wheelchair basketball and made a third national team. So I think she went to Barcelona and Atlanta Paralympics. Since then, she's created a program at the University of Alabama which allows students to come in on scholarship to compete at the collegiate level for wheelchair basketball, wheelchair tennis, and other various sports. Along making that program, she came across para rowing and started participating herself in order to be able to teach people how to row. And so because of that program, she got hooked on rowing. And so she started competing the year prior to this year, to the filming year that we did. The year prior, she got second place, and her goal is to make the team and to show that she still is competitive and she can do different sports. She ends up kind of suffering a setback midway through the season, and it puts a lot in perspective for her on where her priorities are lying and what's most important to her. And I think that her story, probably more than anybody else, is one that it'll really touch you, and you'll feel a lot. You'll maybe start thinking about it a little bit yourself as well. And then there's Joshua Langston-White, who served in the Marines in Afghanistan, and 2 years ago he lost both his legs because of an IED blast in Afghanistan. So he was sent back to the U.S. And went through rehabilitation at Walter Reed Medical Center in Washington, D.C. And so I'm able to start filming him right as he's getting out of the Marines. And he's still in D.C., but we film him. For him, rowing wasn't about competition. It's not about trying to show what he's capable of doing. It's really more about getting an escape from everything going on at the hospital. And so for him, rowing is completely different, but he still is an extremely competitive guy, and he wants to do his best. So I'm able to follow him as he leaves Washington, D.C., and he goes home to Crystal River, Florida, where he meets his family, or where he reunites with his family, and he sees his younger brothers, and he also goes through a big transition in his life and trying to figure out what's next for him. You know, he's been in the Marines for the last few years, and he's been on the same track, and now he's kind of open to a whole new life experience, and so trying to decide where his priorities lie as well, and what matters most to him. So that's Josh's story, and I think with his story, we're trying to show how rowing can not only be competitive, but it can be, you know, an outlet as well for overcoming hardships. It can be kind of an escape, and so I think having that aspect to the film as well really shows some of the great qualities that rowing has. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you'll help us in raising this money, because this is a story that really needs to be told, and I think it's going to do great things for not only for disability sports, but for rowing, and it'll help fuel, you know, funds to go towards the different local groups, because, you know, great things are happening at these places that have this opportunity, and so it's just showing the world that this opportunity exists, and that this is something that is worth having, and worth giving money to, and worth supporting. So I think it's going to do some really great things for the sport, and we just need to get through these next few months of editing and different designs, sound designs, and things like that. We just need to get through these last few months of post-production so that we can have this film out and visible and be seen. Anything helps, any amount at all, like $5 plus, you know, times a few people equals a lot more money. So any small thing helps us reach our goal of getting this film out to the world. So thank you very much, and have a good day.